companies been focusing on, and would love to hear all the innovative ideas and the future of this field.
Yeah, we really appreciate
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Julie.
The field, like.
Thanks for joining us today, and thanks for providing the prices. So we have one team that will get either a 9-bot Segway scooter or the vehicle that we see on the second slide, Marta, the red 3S or the S, right? Yeah. So Julie will return to our session after we went through the discussion to announce the winners of these prizes. So we really want to thank Segway for supporting one team with new vehicles. So thanks, Julie. Then we have our EDF team. We have Paul, Katie, and David. Hopefully will be able to log on. We also have our mentors and lead mentors in the room. So thanks for all of you for taking time. So Marta, if you can go one slide back, just quickly, the plan for today. We wanted to start with turning the word over to EDF to give each team feedback. We had several mentors and the EDF team evaluate all the ideas that you developed over the 48 hours. So we will first ask EDF for a quick round of feedback for all the teams. And then we would like to get into a discussion where the teams can express whether and how you will be interested in continuing working on your idea. So oftentimes with the InnoDays, we see the idea still being developed by also individual team members. So teams can reform, but we would like to hear from our participants who will be interested in continuing working on the idea. And then again, for EDF to share potential pathways to work together with you on making the ideas happen. So our goal with InnoDays is not only to bring companies together with participants to create ideas and initial prototypes during the 48 hours, but our hope is that many of these ideas will be actually turned into something concrete that will create value, in our case now for leveraging micromobility to provide more people with access to mobility. So the main part, the second part will really be about the discussion of the potential implementation pathways and discussing next steps. And then we'll end with Julie from Segway announcing our prize winners. So with that, I would turn it over to the first team member of EDF to go through the first set of teams. Should we start with mobility and people?
Sure. Yeah. Maybe since I was in that pitch session, I can start. And Paul, if you have anything to add or any other mentors would like to add any feedback for each team, that'd be great. So I think the first team was Como EU3. Do we have anyone from that team online?
Yes, we are here.
Oh, hi. So I think we loved your prototype. It was a beautiful prototype in Figma, I believe, of the data platform and data aggregation platform. The concept was really much needed in the micromobility world. Maybe I can just introduce the basic subject for everyone else of just collecting and aggregating all the micromobility operator data to share with the cities and community, and that you can pay more or less depending on if you share your data or not, or if you had a bad experience, you can pay less. the idea of bringing a community back into micromobility. I think one of the challenges we saw were that there's a couple apps like that out there, and you would maybe struggle a little bit with getting the data from the micromobility providers and being able to process them all, I think, in real time is a big issue. And even though your prototype was beautiful, maybe there weren't too concrete next steps to actually process the data and how you'd go about doing that. I don't know if any other mentors have any other comments, but we really loved the presentation, and the prototype was beautiful.
Okay, thank you for your feedback.
Yeah. I guess in the interest of time, the next one was Move It, EU4. Or do you want to maybe talk through each team about whether they're interested in next steps?
I think we can do that collectively in the end. So if you continue just giving feedback, and as you did now, if any of the mentors want to add their feedback, we can also invite them to share their thoughts, so that we can go through team by team, providing short, concise feedback for each team, and then in the end we'll go through into discussion around next steps. Okay,
great. Yeah, for Move It, we love the video. It's really funny and fun, and definitely a much needed use case. The idea is to enable users to pick up other people's goods and deliver it on their way to get a little bit of extra cash and help out their community. It was great that you included a financial model. Yeah, we like the vehicle you chose, even though you didn't design the form factor. It's a good form factor for your use case. I don't know if any other mentors want to add anything.
Just maybe from my side, I think this is Paul speaking. I really enjoyed that they were including both people and package transportation, and there was an aspect of job creation or opportunity there. So I thought that was great. But both those teams were really, really great.
Thanks for the feedback. Do we have somebody from Move It here in the room?
Yes, we do.
All right, thanks. Christian?
Yes, hello.
We'll get into discussion later. I would say let's continue with the team, the next team, Ties and Cars.
Yeah, Ties and Cars is the idea of car sharing or ride sharing between employees. I think the concept is great, definitely much needed, as we all, or many of us, commute singularly in our cars to work. I think there are some solutions out there like that. There are companies doing similar things, even just within a company. I don't know how many platforms are out there combining multiple companies around the area, but I think it's a idea that a lot of companies could get behind, especially for their corporate social responsibility, to encourage reduction in carbon emissions from their employees.
Thanks. Do we have a representative from Ties and Cars in the room?
Yeah, hey, thanks a lot for the feedback.
All right, thanks. Then I think going down the list, we had Team ePark.
Ja, geantwoord. Goed. Gott sei Dank.
Yeah, so this was providing a safe and comfortable place for wheelchair users and e-scooters to park. we love the concept. I think parklets are sort of in the rage on the, is that the right phrase right now, for cities to convert them from car-focused streets to more people-focused streets. The idea of providing chargers and power to them, I think is a great idea. The video was beautiful. The design was great. I think it would have been nice to see a more concrete business model behind, but obviously we didn't ask you to do all of those things. Yeah, we hope to keep talking through with all these teams about next steps.
Thank you,
Paul, do you have
Katie.
anything for anyone?
Yeah, I think definitely, from a social equity standpoint, the approach of going through with the interviews, and I think combining, the combination of individual needs for a certain group with the trend of parklets, like Katie mentioned, I think that was really a great project.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Katie.
The next team was links. The idea of middle income, or they gave the example of teachers who live far away from where they work can get into an autonomous work pod, work from the pod, go to a centralized location, take a flatbed truck to their work, and then separate out into their pods and go straight to the office. I really like the concept. I thought it kind of combined the future of autonomous pods with the easy solution of just a truck that can take them. I would have been nice to go into more of the form factor of the truck, how you would, I don't know, insert the pods into the truck and secure them and make sure it's safe. But I thought that it was really innovative, and the presentation was great. Good story.
Thanks, Katie. Appreciate it.
I guess we can move on to US3. The idea of adding a simple, cheap camera onto a micromobility solution, like a Twizy size car, to help get additional revenue and sell the data from the camera to cities to identify like blocked storm drains, broken traffic lights, things like that. I thought it was a great idea as well. Exploring the value of different data or different revenue streams from data. There's definitely companies doing it, and a lot of the autonomous vehicle companies, I think, probably will include that in the revenue stream. But I like the concept of keeping it a cheap vehicle, just one camera. I liked how you thought into not adding lots of sensors for air pollution to increase the cost too much, and is very specific use case and revenue stream.
Thanks for your feedback, Katie. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, that was great. As was the last one. Both great projects.
Thank you, Paul.
And then lastly, in mobility and people, we have social mobilizers, providing food delivery to food deserts by pooling together the food deliveries to a centralized location. I love the idea as well. I think it was coming at it from a different angle, and looking at a specific problem that maybe a lot of us weren't familiar with. So that was really interesting. It's awesome to learn about new problems that we're not aware of, maybe within our lab. I love the idea of pooling together both people in a community, locations into a centralized location, and aggregating the time window. So I think that could save a lot of money on deliveries, and make food delivery not just for wealthy people. So I thought the concept was great, solving a huge social issue. I love the prototype also video with the little cutouts.
Thanks.
Yeah, it could perhaps help some of the co-ops or farmers and people eat more healthily. So some other dimensions to it as well. Great.
Thank
The
you.
only one thing is maybe it wasn't necessarily micro mobility but it definitely was social equity.
Yeah.
Okay, those are all the mobility and people that I see. And then there's mobility and form factors next.
Paul, you want to take the lead on this category?
Sure. Let's see. So the first one I think we have is eDynamics. So that project was a device to be able to harvest energy from some of the movement of the wheels as they're absorbing the vibrations as the vehicle's going up and down the road. Definitely a great idea. It's really interesting to see that approach. I think it's very applicable across micromobility. Obviously, it wasn't really as much addressing the social equity aspect, although of course anything that adds some of the energy back could reduce the cost, so that can be good. And I think they addressed a little bit at the end of the presentation how much power could be produced, but I think it would have been good to see a little bit more to understand the technical aspect, as well as if they could have connected a little bit more to the social equity part. But a really great project and technically very strong, and definitely high motivation to continue. So we definitely encourage that. Is there anybody from eDynamics with us today?
Yeah, we are here. Thank you for your comments.
Great. Great. And then the next one was Pedora. That one is very interesting, being able to take some of the autonomous pods of different dimensions. They had a really great video prototype, some very innovative aspects in the way that they were approaching the project. I think the business model and some of the economics and perhaps some of the social equity aspects could have been a little bit more addressed. But obviously, that there's, I think, a strong possibility that this type of approach could happen in the future. And it was great to see them put that together. Is anybody from Pedora on the phone?
Yes, thank you very much. We appreciate the feedback.
Great, great.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, that was really nicely done. Let's see, next one was, I don't think it was called aluminum bikes. I think it was called something else similar to that. Is there anybody from that team on the phone? Maybe they're coming off mute. Regardless, it was about being able to take some of the recycled material from local groups, companies, other places. So nice idea about trying to tie in, some of the concepts from environmental aspects to be able to put them back into the bikes, vehicles. So it's nice to use recycling. I think it had some aspects of volunteerism, perhaps being able to increase some job creation there. So that's sort of interesting. Could have used a little bit more development of some of the slides and the prototype, but I think the concept's really great and would be good, as we all know, that it's a challenge with micromobility these days in terms of the overall life cycle, and a lot of the vehicles are getting destroyed or thrown away in some way. Let's see, the next one was Aspect. Is anybody from Aspect on the phone with us today?
Yeah, we're here.
Great, great. So there's a new sort of tricycle form factor with a protective shield and developing a business model that incentivizes the different trips to be ending where it's more useful, more round trip oriented instead of having the problem where a lot of the micromobility vehicles are left in different places, which leads to lower utilization. So I think they introduced a lot of great key concepts, around the safety aspect and accessibility. I think for many people, even though I personally own two Segway types of vehicles, they're not meant for everybody. Definitely not as safe as a larger vehicle, or accessible, or as comfortable. And so, some of those ideas were great, as well as the ideas for reducing cost for some of the riders to reposition vehicles. I think there are some of these concepts in marketplace. So I think maybe that's the only point to mention. But they did a nice job of bringing them all together. So it's a great job. So I think we had great, thank you. So I think we had those 4 teams in the mobility and form factors group. And then the next one was mobility and goods. Let's see.
Yeah, we have David on Microsoft Teams. So let's try to see if it works. We had some issues with the firewall of China. So I will see if it works.
All right, can you hear me? I hope this is somehow making its way from China to the free world, and you can all hear me properly.
Yes, I can hear you.
Working? Okay, good.
Great.
All right, well, thank you for your patience, and thank you, Marta, for finding a magical technical solution to this problem. I'll talk through the 5 mobility and goods projects that we have, starting with Asia 4. So Asia 4 was, well, actually it was a kind of Asia-Africa team, and they were looking into food delivery, which of course is extremely popular across the world now, but with an extremely clear focus on one of the problems that's experienced in, or one of the perceived problems within food delivery in Kenya, and that is that food is stolen by the delivery teams. And so they put in place a security system to make sure that food could not be stolen en route. So nice concept. I know the team has some difficulties during the hackathon process with time zones and people dropping out. So I think they did a great job. I think their proposal could be more, it could do with a little bit more work, a little bit more focus, a little bit more polish to make it better, but a great proposal. The next one is demobility. And demobility was looking at developing a system for drone delivery of medications in dense urban environments. This is obviously a great application for drone delivery in environments where you've got very high congestion, and getting medications to people quickly can be extremely challenging. But light, high value items are exactly what drones should be used for delivering. A lot of their idea would depend on acceptability of using drones within cities, and also of gaining government licenses to actually do this. So there are certain assumptions and uncertainties within their project, which would be quite challenging. The third one was EU2 and EPIS. And the team initially were looking at changing street lamps and making them into electric car charging points. They once they learned that EDF has already invested in a company that does exactly this, they changed their concept slightly with a clear focus on upgrading street lamps for charging micromobility. So in particular, scooters and unmanned delivery vehicles. And what's really nice about this is that they're using existing infrastructure, they're making a cheap upgrade, and they developed an incentive system to help people, encourage people to actually use this charging infrastructure, which overcomes the problem of, firstly, of charging these vehicles effectively, but also it would help to tidy up our streets. So really nice idea, really nice concept too. The next one was EU9 with Kara. I particularly liked Kara. They started with a very specific, very clear problem, which was inspired by their town of Zermatt, where there is heavy restrictions on traffic, and in particular large vehicles, which creates problems for delivering or getting food and general goods home. But for delivering large, bulky items, it is particularly challenging. So they developed the concept of using a pretty tough, heavy-duty, autonomous road vehicle for delivering heavy items like washing machines and fridges and other appliances. They developed some extremely nice rough prototypes, very clear business model, and I also think what's nice about this is it could be applied to other use cases as well. So it could be emergencies, it could be taking away old appliances. So some really nice applications for this technology, an excellent project. And the last one, EU10, was a smart distribution hub. So when your packages are not delivered because you're not at home, rather than leaving it on your doorstep, a package would be left in a smart distribution hub, which would allow more automated delivery and holding of packages. It was a good concept. It was quite a complex concept, I felt, with a relatively complex business model, but an excellent pitch, nicely described through a little walkthrough. So 5 quite varied projects, but really nice, and really emphasizing what we can do with modern micromobility to improve the delivery of goods, and particularly in urban environments. And that's it from me.
Thanks so much, David. And we have 2 teams in the mobility and COVID-19 category. Who wants to?
I can start. So we had Power Up, like modular battery swapping that could be used for vehicles, micromobility vehicles, cars, or other devices. And the idea is, if something like COVID happens where there's less use of, say, micromobility, you can use those batteries for something else that's more needed. I think it's an awesome concept. I love the modularity idea, and the idea that you can use batteries for any sort of purpose. I think there's definitely some feasibility issues of basically just standardizing all batteries and energy for all different devices. And so getting different manufacturers to align on that, as we found, is pretty difficult. But I think the concept is great, and I like the idea. Any comments from anyone else?
Yeah, echoing what you said, I think I really like the fact that they used a survey. They had some good results that they presented. I was curious if the team's on why they thought people were less interested in a pod than just on a kick scooter. Is anybody from the team on?
Hi, I'm from the team. I don't know right now. We ask why they don't want to choose a kick scooter, or why do they don't want to choose a pod, and they had specific answers for each, but not so if they choose a tricycle, or if they choose a scooter, why they don't choose a pod. So not by excluding the other options. Just for example, they said they don't want a scooter because it's not so comfortable. They cannot carry bags, and they don't like a pod because it's too big.
Interesting. Great.
These are
nice.
2 answers that I remember, but I have to go through the questionnaire again and see.
Sure. Yeah, I think
I can share the answers with you.
It's a nice project, and definitely would be great to have more generalized batteries. So
thank you.
It's good.
And the last team was US2. The idea of connecting a community and being able to deliver goods to the elderly in the situation, either by volunteer or choosing the least susceptible person to COVID-19 to deliver, and giving them rewards in a sort of gamified system. I think we all thought it was really inspirational and much needed in these times. Our communities have plenty of willing people to help do deliveries, and maybe just not a good connection. So it's a good solution to connect people and then also reward good-hearted people. I think maybe now there's a few apps out there specifically spurred on by COVID, like Nextdoor, that I've seen people do similar things, but it's a little bit more informal of just posting and having community members respond. It's not in a gamified system, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah, maybe that's a great one to end on here. Definitely, I think it really brought up the aspect that there's a lot of willingness in humanity to help each other. And a big part of what we can do with technology is to connect each other with the right tools, whether it's totally software or some combination of software and hardware. So I was really excited to see that concept. And, you know, I think there's definitely something to it. As Katie had mentioned, you know, there may be some related things, but definitely really on the surface sounded like something which maybe one might accept and kind of move on, like, oh yeah, sure, maybe. But I think there's something to it. And I think especially as our entire world is, you know, thinking more locally, I think we're going to be thinking more and more about some of our neighbors and people nearby. Great project.
Yeah, I think it was amazing as a general theme. We saw a lot around communities, maybe especially brought out by this crisis. So that was inspiring.
Great, thanks for the feedback.
Thanks, yeah, to the ADF team for sharing the feedback. I would agree that it was very inspiring to see the ideas. And as I mentioned earlier, our goal is really to use the InnoDays as an impulse to create new projects, ideally as a collaboration between the teams or the individuals from the participant side with the support of company partners, because ideally both entities can bring great value to a collaboration. So maybe we'll ask just EDF broadly to share some of the potential pathways. Where do you see ties, synergies, opportunities for any of these projects to continue to explore? We often see companies that, even though it's a small step, they provide a next potential step and sort of invite participants to express then their interest to continue. So we can either start with EDF, or if any of the participants then has ideas what they would like to do. So I would like to open it up for that discussion.
Well, I think, this is Paul speaking, I think maybe very simplistically, if there are groups that are particularly excited about their idea or perhaps one of the other ideas in this and really want to explore it further, I think at the very least, you know, Katie and David and I could discuss it further. So I might suggest a simple action would be to, you know, reflect on some of the feedback as well as, you know, people's interest and timing. You know, I think it's often the case that individually or collectively there may be a great idea, but it's not always often a fit for a lot of reasons. And that may be the case that you really are passionate about it, but it's just not the great fit for you, but you want to, you know, encourage it to move forward in some way. But, you know, I would say drop us a note on Slack to start with that, and we can go from there. I think in terms of EDF globally, you know, there's 30 plus business units around the world engaged in many different activities. And so I would say that if there's an interest in doing something, you know, with the company in general, I would encourage anybody to go look on the website for opportunities. If there's an interest in doing something specifically in mobility, you know, there's opportunities potentially with our team and in the US with some of the investments and acquisitions we've made, such as with our EV charging company, PowerFlex, based in the Bay Area. So it could be something to look at, as well as to see if perhaps we could develop something together. Of course, there's many different you know, startup opportunities and pitch opportunities to further develop things. And then in Europe, of course, we have a much larger presence there. Our R&D program, I'm pretty sure they are hiring, contrary to many other companies. And we do take interns as well as VIEs. So If you're not familiar with the VIE program, it's open to anybody under the age of 28 or so, I believe, with their education and some work experience of a year or two at least. And it's a great opportunity and open to, I believe, anybody in Europe to be a volunteer working for a French company in another country. So it could even be perhaps for a company in Germany that's a French company or something. So I would encourage all the students to look into the VIE program as a great opportunity. And then if there's any extremely passionate people that want to build something, of course, please reach out to us. I don't know, Katie or David, if you have any other feedback, or Marta, if it's easy to plug David in.
Yeah, David is in.
Yeah, so I think there are a few ways that we can work together. I think, as Paul says, if you want to take this forward, then we can definitely help, and that could be in the form of some simple mentoring. So from Paul, Katie, or myself, but then we can extend that mentoring a little bit wider if things get more complex, and reach out to some of the specialists that we have in our business. But I think one of the crucial things to think about is how this targets one of the markets where we're present. So mainly France, UK, Belgium, Italy, the US, and here in China. And in each of those areas, the market is different. So think about what you could do could contribute to each of those markets. But the principle is that, yes, we will be very happy to work with you and move forward. We also have a group-wide awards scheme called the Pulse Awards, targeted mainly for startups who've got a product that's ready for market, but we do also look for earlier stage concepts. So that's something that comes with a cash prize, quite a hefty cash prize, and being brought into our incubation scheme. And as Paul says, there are always job opportunities. I'm looking for a VIE software developer right now. So if you are interested and you have skills in software development, front end, back end, anything, I'll be extremely interested in talking to you. So give me a shout. But I think there are so many good ideas here. I think there's a lot of potential in many of them. And if you feel motivated to keep on moving forward with them, then we'd be delighted to support.
Yeah, I think as a recent student myself, to think of it as if you got, say, $1,000 to pursue your project, what would be your next steps? Would you keep the same team? Is everyone on board? Or is it just you who is passionate about it? Can you find more people to get involved? And if you can reach out to us, maybe I'll write my email into the chat with what you would do with your next steps and how you'd want to get involved.
Great, thanks to all of you for sharing those opportunities. I think, yeah, it's probably difficult to do in this open forum now, unless, if any of you have general questions from the participants, we can also take those questions. Otherwise, I think there's a lot of different opportunities to work on your idea with the support of EDF. So we can also use Slack or the emails of Katie, David, and Paul as a way to just see how to move forward. And from our side, InnoDays, we're definitely happy to support as well. So if there's anything we can do to continue to support your ideas and how to make them happen, please keep us in the loop and ask for help if we can. We'll definitely be interested to continue to support, and we'll definitely like to hear if you continue to work on your idea, so that we can also share that with our community.
Maybe is there a way, do we have contact information, like just emails for each team, or
yeah, you'll
create a
get
spreadsheet and they can say if they're interested?
Yeah. So I think what we can do for the participants, we can share your emails, and then we'll share with you the final team list that we have. Yeah. Do any of the participants have any questions for EDF?
This is Roland from ePark. I have a question about PowerFlex and if they're looking to expand beyond EVs and into smaller form factors like our accessibility and other more generalized charging uses.
Great question. Katie, you're closer to them. I don't know if you want to touch on that. I don't know if they're quite going that direction yet, but hopefully with some of our pushing, maybe they will.
Yeah, I agree with what Paul said. They're very driven by EV charging at the workplace now, trying to just get out as many chargers as possible. But they are in the future looking to fleets and hopefully expanding the other way into micromobility. I think it's our role as Innovation Lab to push them to look into other markets.
Great, thank you.
Other questions or comments?
So we'll keep the Slack live for folks who want to continue to connect, and I'll make a channel for folks to coordinate on moving forward, so that you can pay attention to that as you go.
All right. Thanks, Jack. All right. Yeah, so we have one thing left to do, which is to
Thomas,
the finalists. It's in a way, we had long discussions with EDF who should be the one winner, and it was difficult, and still to this moment it's difficult to just call out one because we have several great ideas, but at the same time we only have one prize. So just to frame this prize, yeah, we would love to give all of you scooters, but Segway and Ninebot, they give us the prices for one team. So you should know that even if you might not get the prices, you were in the final. And yeah, I don't know whether Paul or anybody wants to say something about the close race. And then I think if we can bring in Julie, Marta, can you quickly inform her?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I'll say that David and Katie and I are arm wrestling actively across the planet. So it's quite a tight race. Yeah, I will say there are a number of teams in the upper category of scoring from all the judges. And I might just take a second, if you're okay with it, Thomas, just to mention some of those. I think Como EU Team 3 was in this top bracket. Really great project. Move It was in the top bracket. ePark, very much in that top bracket. Great project there. Links, the same thing. Ties and Cars. Let's see. Social Mobilizers, another one. Going through, just bear with me as I scroll
Kara,
through.
EU9.
Yep, that was definitely one. EU Team 2, I think it was EPIs. Let's see, and US Team 2 as well. I forget what the name of it was. We don't have it written right here, but that one was also. So, I mean, every project really had some great aspects. So, I think everybody deserves to know that the process you went through, I think, was both, interesting for us to participate and to support and sponsor, but also I think hopefully a great learning experience. And then some of those teams definitely did a great job of combining some of the concepts and putting them together and presenting them. And I think even as somebody who's been focused on innovation, entrepreneurship for, I think longer than probably most of the students have been alive. God, I'm feeling old now. But, I think learning stuff from this process is really useful. So, I really encourage everybody to take home, I think, some of the process as well as, any of the results or next steps. So that being said, Marta, I think there are a couple crowd favorites. Do you want to mention those?
Me?
Yeah, I think you said there were 4 crowd favorites from the voting.
Ah, yeah, sorry. I was trying to.
I would have them here.
I have too many screens and too many notifications. Sorry. Yeah, so we have actually these 4 teams. So the first one is Asia 4. We got the most votes. Then we have the social mobilizers from US. And then we have Power Up, EU 6. And then we have Move It. So we have 2 Europeans, 1 Asian, and 1 from US, which is quite a nice spread. Yeah, these are it's the first time it happens. We have a lot of crowd favorites. So yeah, congratulations, and thanks for all those who filled the survey and gave us nice inputs that we aim to take into account for the next event.
Yeah, I think that highlights the breadth of the challenge and the directions that people took, and the appreciation from all of us that are involved in the different ideas. So, with that being said, Thomas, are we at the final moment here?
I think so. Yeah. Is Julie back in the virtual room?
Yeah, I'm here.
Great. And did you get an email from us?
Yes, I got a message.
Drum roll, please.
Okay. Well, the final winner is, I'm just so happy I don't have to, be in the judging round. It's gonna be really tough, I can imagine. Okay, so the winner of all the Segway prizes is gonna be the Move It team. Congratulations.
Go clap.
Hooray!
Yeah, so the prices, I think, as previously announced, is the Nightbot S. The red version, which just came out. It's a new color, and it's our best-selling self-balancing personal transporter, which is like Segway's signature technology. And the other one is also very popular as the kick scooter ES2 Gen 2. Hope you guys enjoy, and thank you very much to have Segway to be a part of this. So we are really excited and honored to be witnessing, the frontier of innovation in this field. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Julie, for your contribution. And as an owner of 2 Segway products, definitely appreciate you guys' leadership in the space.
Thank you. Our pleasure, and so honored to hear that.
Great. Yeah, we hope to see at least photos then with the Segway products from Teams Move It, as they will then be shipped. And yeah, really appreciate Segway support as well. And yeah, again, thanks to all the participants. Congratulations to all the teams, and thanks for the EDF crew to make this challenge possible. We'll have more challenges coming up. We'll actually have one more on mobility in Austria, end of May, which will also be virtual. So please look out for an announcement on our social media channels. And then earlier today, we just posted our event highlight video. So please look at that as well. And that we hope to see you at least at a virtual event, hopefully also at some point in real life. And yeah, hopefully we can see many ideas in action that resulted from the InnoDays.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you, everyone. We'll keep in touch. Please keep in touch.
Yeah, and thank you to Thomas and Marta and all of the mentors. Everybody contributed a lot of time, and I think this is great. I hope that everybody had a great experience. I know it can be very intense, as David can attest to from our side, having led a number of these. Part of the job is to really create that intensity that helps to create some of the productivity and push us forward. So, encourage everybody to think about that as they're going through their projects.
And from our side, thanks to Alan and Jack, who helped us a lot in the organization and brought on board all the Berkeley people. So without you, we wouldn't have managed to do it this way. So it was very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, and we also have a lot of mentors now on the call now. So we really appreciate everybody's contribution, sharing their expertise and their experience to support the teams. We have some lead mentors on the call. So again, thanks to everyone. I see Michael, Marcus, Peter, Magdalena. So yeah, thanks again. We hope we can do this again, either virtually or ideally then after the crisis, face to face. So yeah, hope we can stay in touch. Have a good evening, rest of the day, or full day, depending on where you are. And thanks so much again.
Thank you. It's been great.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, this is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. I was too late with taking a group shot. But we have one. We shared it on our social media. So, and also look for the video. We have the group shot included in the video. And some of the stars, I'm looking at Peter, he has a main role again in our highlight video.
Without Peter, it's like it's featured in all the InnoDays. Serious now.
It's good to have some consistency.
Yeah.
Thank you for that one.
Thanks so much.
Great.
Bye.
Thank you, Thomas, for sharing the list of attendees, their contact info.
Will do. Yeah, and to the team, Move It, we'll reach out with collecting the logistic information for shipping the Segway products. So look out for an email on that.
And actually, I think it was not Paul, but if you're seeking for software engineers, we also educate software engineers in our school. You can also shoot me a mail if you need any support in this case.
That was David looking for one, right?
That was David, right?
Yeah, I think that was David. So yeah, that would only be applicable to some of the Europeans under the VIE program. So definitely something to check into. I assume you're familiar with the program?
Actually not.
I would highly encourage you guys to make mention of it. Obviously, it helps if any of the students are fluent in French, but it is technically open, I think, to anyone in the EU. So we've had a woman who was Greek, I think, and some German applicants. But as I mentioned, finished their schooling, and I think maybe if it's 2 years, which could include some internships of work experience. So especially applicable to those who have gone through maybe a master's program or something. And then they can work for 18 months anywhere in the world for a French company, and the French government and the company kind of sponsor together.
Yeah, roughly I know it, but not the details.